Welcome to Desde Cero. On this episode, we are joined by Katie Dyson. Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, Katie, let's get to know you a little bit before we get going on the subject today. Where are you from?
I am from Cypress, Texas. It's a suburb outside of Houston, Northwest Houston. Born and raised there, and moved to the Bryan College Station area about almost 4 years ago, March
Okay.
2020.
And what brought you here to Bryan College Station?
Um, I was originally going to spend maternity leave with my parents, but as everyone knows, March 2020 was when COVID kind of
Right.
exploded. And so instead of staying just 8 weeks with my parents, it kind of turned into an extended maternity leave. So I've
Okay.
been here ever
So
since.
you stuck around.
I did, yeah.
You
My
like
poor,
it? You like it so far?
yeah, I do.
It's
It's
a
been a
nice
little.
city.
It is. It's a big small city,
Right.
you know. But my poor parents, just they can't get rid of me.
Well, the way I know Katie is we worked together at a company, REC Industries, and we kind of moved on. Both moved on from that company now. And where are you working at now?
I work at Medica Biotechnology. It's a
Okay.
CDMO manufacturing company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we get going, I'd like to everybody to or remind everybody to please subscribe to Desde Cero con Manuel on YouTube and help us keep growing the channel and you know help us keep doing more podcasts. Uh, well, let's get going on the subject today. We're here to talk about Angelman Syndrome, also known as AS. Your son Ryder was diagnosed with Angelman Syndrome, right?
Yes.
Tell us, what is Angelman Syndrome?
So Angelman syndrome is it's a genetic disorder, and it's very rare. It affects, I think it's 1 in 20,000 or 25,000 people. It's extremely rare, and it's not partial to any gender. It happens equally to boys and to girls. Um, and basically, it causes developmental delays and learning disabilities. Um, so it's just one of those very rare coincidences that happens, at the instant of conception. And if you know that you have a family history of it, maybe you can get some testing done
Mm-hmm.
when you're pregnant. But it's kind of one of those uh-ohs that you find out anywhere between 6 months and a year.
When was your son Ryder diagnosed?
Officially, he was diagnosed about a month after he turned 2 years old.
2 years old.
Yeah. So at his 9-month checkup, we went and to his pediatrician, and he basically failed like all of the CDC milestones for developmental delays, like the guidelines that we should meet. And at first, I was very offended by this pediatrician. I was kind of like, "What? You're calling
Right.
my son slow?" And it just kind of got the ball rolling. Actually, I was at REC.
Yes, I remember you having to leave for doctor's appointments a
Yeah.
lot because your son Ryder,
Yeah.
either he was sick or you were worried about some issues with him, right?
Mm-hmm. We were
And
just trying to find out what was going on
right.
because actually at that appointment, I had also found out that I had a birth trauma that I did not know I had when I was in labor. So originally, I thought I was going on a journey to, discover what had happened to me and why I wasn't informed about it by any of the doctors or the hospital, and that birth injury is what caused Ryder's delays.
Mm-hmm.
But um, it may have had some effect, but we do know that he does have a genetic disability, and it's been confirmed by a genetic a DNA test. So the ball that got everything rolling and the journey that I went on, it was a good journey. I found out a lot of information, especially about the medical industry, but it definitely led me to, the stopping point or the light at the end of the tunnel that I wasn't expecting, the
Mm-hmm.
outcome I wasn't
Right.
expecting. My mom actually, very early on, I want to say it was probably when he was 6 months old. She WebMD'd his symptoms, I guess, if you will, and she had mentioned Angelman syndrome, and I think I Googled it or I went on YouTube and I watched maybe 5 seconds of something. I don't even know what it was. And I just turned it off. I said, nope, that is not Ryder. That is not going to be my life. No, absolutely not.
What were some of the symptoms that you saw?
So so what I saw was less than what my mom saw. I, saw the developmental delays, obviously, and I was told about them, and then as I became aware, and so I witnessed them, and it was like delayed crawling and delayed walking, and he just wasn't, matching what my cousin's daughter. They were born in the same month, like 2 weeks apart. Wasn't matching like where she was at.
Right, the
She was,
development. Right.
yeah, he was way behind. But my mom saw from the very beginning the way his hands were. They were always clenched when he was a newborn, and then he wasn't able to latch or breastfeed very well. And then I ended up having to be on an antibiotic, so I had to stop breastfeeding pretty early on. So I never really got to witness or see that he had difficulty with using his mouth and his muscles, and he wasn't able to suck at all, and he still isn't today. Right. But that's one of the symptoms as well. But the reason why he did have so much difficulty when I was breastfeeding, it's because of that.
Okay,
symptom.
Like motor skills, and
yeah,
it wasn't developing as fast as
exactly
needed to.
Yeah,
right.
and for the using a straw or drinking out of a cup, that usually takes a few years for a lot of angels.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How common is Angelman syndrome?
It's not that common. It's pretty rare. I think it's 1 in every 15,000 live births or something, and then or 1 in every 22,000 people have it. I don't know. There's 2 different studies that I read about. And if you ask someone if you've ever heard of it, have you ever heard of Angelman syndrome? 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear no. Like, we just went to the doctor today, and none of the nurses nor the doctor had any idea.
Right. I didn't know either until you messaged me and said, hey, I want to talk about Angelman syndrome podcast. So,
yeah. I mean, I didn't know about it either.
Right. What causes AS? What causes Angelman syndrome?
It's just genetics. So it's what causes it is a deletion or some kind of mess up on one of your chromosomes. Mm-hmm. So, you have the 23 chromosomes, you have a maternal copy and a paternal copy on each one, right? So chromosome 15, the maternal copy is in some way it got mutated, or some of it got deleted, or the entire maternal copy got deleted. The paternal copy is there, but it's turned off. So it's like, think of 2 light bulbs. Mm-hmm. You've got a light bulb that's turned on, and you've got a light bulb and it's not turned on, and it's never going to be turned on. It doesn't need to be turned on, but it does need to be screwed in.
Okay.
Yeah. So the light doesn't have to work. It's kind of like Ryder's biological father.
Okay.
He's there, but he doesn't work.
And you said that it runs in family.
So yes,
it's hereditary.
Yeah. It's not on my side. I'm not a carrier, so I was told by a geneticist that it was de novo, which I guess means the first instance. I don't know. Hey, Google. But his biological father has not been tested, so I'm not sure if it runs on his side or not. But there's 4 different types of ways that it can get transferred onto the maternal or not transferred onto the maternal copy of that chromosome and affect that UBE3A gene. It's like a protein ligase that's really essential in using, or it goes to your brain and it helps you figure out how to like use your fine motor skills and your, what is it? Not the fine motor skills. There's 4 different ways that the genetic transfer, or, if you're a carrier, how it can go down, or I guess if you're not a carrier, how it just happens. Mm-hmm. So the maternal copy is completely deleted. So you just have the screwed in light bulb, the paternal copy that's not turned on, or you can have both copies deleted and you don't have anything. You can have two paternal copies, so two light bulbs that aren't turned on, or you can have both copies turned off, turned on, but just, while it was being made, it just kind of deviated a little bit, and it's just small. It can be a big mutation, and that's what Ryder has. But his is very small. If there was a spectrum, which there's not that I know of, or they don't call it a spectrum, he is on the very mild side.
Okay.
So.
Okay. You mentioned complications in feeding. What other complications are associated with AS?
So 80%, I think it is, of angels will have seizures. And it's mostly common in the deletions, but by the age of 3, 80% of them will have seizures. My son, fortunately, and rarely, it's just rare that it happens or doesn't happen. He's never had a seizure. But so seizures, and it affects balance, walking. Most are nonverbal. Most will say maybe 1 or 2 words in their entire life. Some will never say words. Some just kind of babble. But a lot can use sign language and use AAC devices and picture boards, and they learn to communicate in their own ways and gestures. Right. And then the developmental delays, the learning disabilities, Ryder's considered special needs. He's in school right now, so he's in a special education class. So, he'll be in that special education class with a paraprofessional with him all day, until he graduates.
Right. And I was gonna ask that. Will he have to attend a special or specialized school?
I wish.
For AS?
I wish there was a special school for AS. There's a lot of ABA schools that are dedicated to children with autism, which is amazing. But there's not any that I have found that are completely dedicated to AS. But most schools, because of inclusion and how important that is in education right now, most schools will accept or, allow students with special needs into it, whether it's a, public school, private school, what have you. So right now, Ryder goes to Snook Elementary, Snook Intermediate, and he's in an IEP or ARD, which is just a special program that is like set up and, created by me and a panel of people. And he's in a pre-K class. So
Well, how old is Ryder now?
He will be 4 in March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow. What is required in caring and working with a child with AS, with Angelman Syndrome?
Strength. You have to be super strong because they are stronger.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to be quick on your feet mentally because they are going to learn to manipulate you, and they're going to learn how to get you. They are going to know your weaknesses.
Even at that age?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So, you have to be prepared. They're escape artists. So as they get older, you have to kind of change your living space to adapt to them. You know what I mean? Better locks on your doors, cameras, motion detectors, different kind of windows, not maybe not even glass windows, just window locks, all this kind of stuff. A lot of people can't have pools because angels have a very it's odd, but it's weird, it's cute, obsession with water.
Okay.
It's one of their known symptoms, and Ryder absolutely has it. Bath time is his favorite.
Is there a lot of splashing or playing with the water? Is that what it is?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay.
We're pretty much gonna have to rip out the entire bathroom. I really just want to make it, one entire shower, with the angled tile, but maybe one day. But yeah, so you just have to be very careful. They will require lifelong assisted living. So not all of them. I've met 2 angels. They're brothers. I met them in the Woodlands. And I think they're maybe like 9 and 7. They're about 2 years apart. and you'd never know they have Angelman syndrome. You'd never know because they started on therapies just like Ryder at an early age, and their mom, is and was a huge advocate and just pushed them, and mostly with their speech language pathologist, which they still see to this day. But I mean, when I saw them, they were running around with dogs on leashes, taking pictures with people.
Right.
I mean, they're like Angelman celebrities because they just look like normal functioning neurotypical children. It's insane. But most other angels will require lifelong assisted living, like diapers and help getting dressed, help with eating. Ryder can like hold a spoon, but does he? He mostly just kind of rakes and puts food in his mouth, but he doesn't know that he needs to open the fridge and get the milk and put it in. He doesn't understand that concept. Right. So,
what kind of help or programs are available for families with the child with AS?
So there's a lot of resources available for families with AS, and that's nationwide and globally. You can go to, I think it's Angelman Syndrome Foundation.org or Angelman.org. I think that might be what it is. And there's a list of resources that you can click on that can help you out with, mental help for caregivers, how to get help from your state or city, IEP or ARD help for schooling, just like Ryder's in. There's a vast amount of help that you can get. However, it's kind of very general. It covers most children with disabilities and families with disabilities. Now, yeah, there are some things that are specific to Angelman syndrome caregivers that are on the site, of course, because you're going to angelman.org. But a lot of the community resources and stuff are kind of just very generic for anyone with a disability or, special needs or caregivers that need respite and stuff like that. So there's not really a lot of local help here in Bryan College Station. There is somewhat in Houston, but it's very limited. Okay. And it's the same way all around the United States that I found. It's just very limited.
So earlier today, you sent me a message and said, "Hey, I'm in the hospital with Ryder." First of all, how's he doing?
He's fine. For all I know, I'm still waiting to get the swab results. We don't know if it's RSV or croup or they tested for influenza 1 and 2 or the flu. The doctor thought it was croup immediately, so he gave him a steroid drink mixed with apple juice.
So how often are doctor visits required?
So we go to the standard CDC recommended ones, but there's no requirement for Angelman. It's pretty much just a normal
checkup.
Checkup. Okay. Now we did see ophthalmologists more often because he had alternating exotropia, which is another symptom that Angelmans can have, and it's the lazy eyes. So alternating exotropia, it's where it affects both eyes, and exo, where they go out instead of inward. But he actually had corrective surgery. I think he was 2.5. I think it was like the summer, July of 2022. Yeah.
We had surgery?
Yeah, he had surgery on both eyes, and it was 24 minutes long.
Oh.
Yeah. And they fixed the muscles, in his eyes, and he completely straight.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Is there a foundation that helps with children and families of Angelman syndrome?
So there's FAST, which is the Foundation of Angelman Syndrome. And then there is the Angelman Syndrome Foundation.org. Okay. FAST is more, I think it's more of the government. I don't know for sure 100% of it is, but they're the ones who fund and raise all the funds for the clinical trials and, the companies that do all these tests and surveys and whatnot. The ASF org, which I prefer, it's more of a following on Facebook in my eyes. And it's more, you have more resources and information on their website, and it's just a better community. It's more tangible, you know? So if it were up to me, I would say Angelman Syndrome Foundation or angelman.org. And there's all kinds of fundraisers that they promote and encourage you to hold. So, you know, they have the ASF walk every year, and they help you raise funds for that. They give you the platform, the webpage to create your fundraising page. And then all of the big cities have walks, you know, and so all these people share and then show up for this big walk on, it's in May, I think every year for the Houston area.
Okay. And raising awareness, how are you raising awareness for AS? Well, I mean, part of it's being here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And what else are you doing to raise awareness for Angelman syndrome?
So social media, you know, I try to just share as much as I can when I can. I haven't really been too active in the last few months. Anywhere I go with him, you know, or not with him, I'm not afraid to talk about it. You know, I like to educate people and tell people, just get the word out, get people familiar with it. I mean, that's just how autism was in my eyes. You know, a lot of people weren't really aware of it or didn't like to talk about it, you know, back when in the 90s, I feel like when I was in grade school. And now it's, you know, blown up and it's this huge thing. And, you know, there's no one that doesn't know what autism is. And, you know, Angelman it's a very close second. It's very, very similar to
autism. Okay. Is there research being done on AS?
Yes.
And have they said if there was a cure or anything like that?
So there are clinical trials currently going on with some different companies. A lot of them require your angel to be a little bit older than 3 or maybe even younger. Or you have to have the certain type of mess up on that chromosome or that gene. You know, they have to be the deletion or the UPD or the mosaicism. So I think because Ryder's is such a mild case, it's just a very small pathogenic variant. I don't know if he'll ever qualify for a clinical trial, but they do believe that in the next 10 years, and this is from when I found out, so I guess now 9 years, but or 8, I don't know math, but that there will be either a cure or a genetic treatment. I don't know what that means. Right. I mean, I know what it means. I don't know what that.
But it's too early right now in the research, right?
It's too early to say, like, for any of these companies to come out and say, you know, we have found it. You know, I don't know what that means for Ryder. Like, for instance, you know, he's almost 4 years old and he's been nonverbal and only knows what he knows. So you're telling me that, okay, there's a cure. So what? It's a shot or whatever it is, or it's a surgery they go in and fix. So is he going to wake up and be like, hey, what's up? You know? So what does this cure or genetic treatment look like for each different angel? Right. That's what I think is going to be the biggest like complication or hurdle for these clinical trials and for these scientists and geneticists and labs to figure out and get over.
Are you in a group kind of with other parents that get together and talk about it and is there, you know, a website that you guys go to get together or anything like that? You want to share on if somebody wants to reach out to you and talk about Angelman syndrome?
Yeah, if someone wants to reach out to me, they can always find me on Facebook. I don't think I'm private. Or they can just go to Angelman Syndrome Foundation on Facebook. I'm mostly on the Facebook communities. But there's no local or, you know, like Zoom group that I log on to.
Right.
Or
There's no like weekly meetings
so
or
I'm
anything.
sure that there are in different areas. But since I'm so new, I still learn stuff every day, you know. And in the last few weeks, actually, I've become a lot more active in the Facebook community for Angelman because I lost a big support system.
Right.
So I've been needing, you know, more support, and I've absolutely found it within the Angelman Facebook groups. And Amanda Moore and Paula Evans, like, they're just amazing people. The entire Angelman community, they're just made up of caregivers and, you know, people whose lives have been touched by angels, and it's just, they just continue to amaze me. So, I mean, you can just Google it, and anywhere you go, you know,
You
you'll
should
be
find
taken care of.
information.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
What else do you want to tell the people about Angelman syndrome?
So, a few more of the symptoms or traits that angels will have are the happy disposition. They're always smiling or always laughing.
Okay.
So it's kind of difficult to go to serious functions with Ryder. My uncle had passed away in December, so December 1st or 2nd, almost a year ago. And it was a little difficult to have him at the funeral because everything is funny, and, you know, life is just wonderful for him. And he literally is a light, you know, to a lot of people. He brings happiness. You know, if you're having a bad day, if you see Ryder, if you make eye contact, or if you even just watch him, your day will instantly be transformed. I mean, he is the sweetest, most genuine human I've ever met or seen on this planet. And it's just incredible. And it's incredible how smart he is. So anyone that, you know, is recently diagnosed or, you know, is a caregiver, I would say also to just devote yourself to therapies, keep them in it. And, you know, ultimately with enough work and dedication, they will reach milestones, because Ryder walks now. And he says many words, not all the time, but, you know, he says hi and mama and bubble, like bubble bath.
Right.
His favorite thing. So,
Okay.
you know.
Well, Katie, let's move on to the next subject. Recently, you lost your mom. We want to offer our condolences to you and the family.
Thank you.
And you wanted to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
And mention it. And your mom passed away due to cancer, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So, it was the very beginning of August where she was cleaning and flipping my parents' mattress, and she had pulled her hip on this side. And then just over the following few weeks, it moved over her lower back and then up the sciatic. And then it kind of lingered here on the chest and her arm. And what it was a very bad internal burning feeling that, like, no pain medication could touch. And this lasted for about 2 full months. I think it was September 15th. She went to this local Snook Community Health Center, Health Point, and they basically said she had shingles, because that's what it looked like, and that's what it felt like. And so we all thought she had shingles. And then the last week of September, mentally, I noticed stuff going on. And so October 1st, my dad ended up taking her to the ER. And after a full day of tests, we got the results back from a CT scan saying that she had lesions covering her body. And that they had told us that she'd had cancer for about 2 years. So what I wanted to basically bring up is the importance of going to the doctor and, you know, getting your checkup, getting your physical, getting your blood work. Nothing against my mom or anything, but, you know, perhaps, you know, 2 years ago or even a year ago, had she gone to the right doctor or, you know, just had blood work done, they would have seen a high white blood cell count, you know, and maybe just investigated it a little bit more.
Right. So what you wanted to bring up is get checked out and go to the doctor and
Yeah.
if something comes up, something hurts.
Don't
Visit
let
the doctor.
money or not having insurance be the reason you don't go, because at the end of the day, who honestly pays hospital bills anyway? No, I'm kidding. I'd rather have my mom here, you know? I mean, I'd help her pay the bill, if it meant having her here. So yeah, she got diagnosed on the 1st of October and we lost her on October 31st. So it was a very quick
1 month.
Yeah. So, which, is difficult, but at the same time, I feel a little blessed because she wasn't in pain for too long and we didn't have to go through a very long, cancer treatment with lots of radiation and just, years and years of just pain and, like false hope and then pain and then, ultimately a loss. So I'm glad it was short for her, but I'm, just wish things could have been different. But, there's no sense in looking back at the past. But now, going forward, I mean, I've already got all my doctor appointments scheduled for the next year. And I'm like, I want all of the referrals, all of the blood work, all of the genetic tests for cancer. I want it all. I want to know now. Am I going to have cancer?
Right. Well, again, our condolences to you and
Thank
the
you.
family.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add to the podcast before we go?
Yeah, you can donate to the Angelman Syndrome Foundation if you just go to, I think it's angelman.org. Let me look. I've been saying it wrong the whole time or something. Yeah, it's www.angelman.org, and you can donate through there, or you can just find me on, what is it, Zelle?
Mm-hmm.
My email is kdyson1239@gmail.com. Personal bank account. Just put your money in there. No, donate. You can donate to the Angelman Foundation through angelman.org.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys look it up and research Angelman syndrome as well. Just Google it and I Googled it and there was a lot of information on there. So
that's crazy. You've never heard of it,
right?
But once you put it in your computer, there's a huge world of knowledge and information out there.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, Katie, I want to appreciate you coming on the podcast and informing us about Angelman syndrome, and I hope Ryder is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish him well, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
Well, you want to send any shout outs before you go?
Yeah. Shout out to my dad. Thanks for watching Ryder tonight. I'm not going to be too much longer. Might have to take advantage a little bit, but no, I'm kidding. Yeah, thanks for watching Ryder. And shout out to all of the Angelman caregivers who are going to the Angelman event in Chicago next week. Can't wait to see y'all.
Okay. Well, again, I want to remind everybody to please subscribe to Desde Cero, just like Katie did. And you subscribed, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And help us keep growing the channel. And we see y'all guys next time. And thank y'all for being here. Thanks.